Hello, everyone. This is Abhay Agarwal. I'm founder and fund manager at Serica Advisors. We are a Mumbai-based asset management company that manages various funds, including an FPI fund based in Mauritius that invests in Indian equities, listed equities. And we have been doing this for last 30 years. So first of all, I would like to wish you a very happy 76th Republic Day. It's remarkable how far India has come in last 76 years, and even more remarkable to see where it is headed over the next 10 years. So what I wanted to take this opportunity is to talk about what we are seeing in India as opportunities for long-term investors to benefit from, because the country is changing rapidly, and you would have read in global media that India is slated to be the fastest growing economy in the world for next 10 years and taking over many of the traditionally big economies, and also slated to be probably the number 2 economy by GDP within the next 10 years after China. Now, what is working in India? What is the road going to be like for India? And what is the genesis of this growth? A large part of this growth is being driven by domestic consumption. And that domestic consumption is driven by a younger population that has good quality jobs, has high disposable income, is not averse to borrowing to fund expenses, fund consumption. And we are seeing this growth in consumption across the board in any of the lifestyle products as well as digital products. And this is an opportunity for investors to benefit from. A lot of investors who have looked at India very traditionally still seem to believe that we are a third world company that is regressing further into the third world. But nothing can be farther from the truth. I think with a very pro-business government, with a very talented pool of industrialists and businessmen, we are very excited that the next 10 years will see not only traditional industries grow, but a new set of industries, a new set of companies that will come up and take leadership. So where are these new growth segments and what is driving them? One of the biggest initiatives that the government took over the last 4 or 5 years or maybe earlier is to make India self-dependent through its Atmanirbhar policy. And simply put, what that means is that the government has been trying to reduce imports of regular products which are not very high technology or do not require very complex manufacturing or large-scale manufacturing, to set up these manufacturing facilities in India. Now, in terms of context, you would remember that India had post-election a scheme called Small Scale Industries Scheme, and a lot of industries, manufacturing industries, products were reserved for small scale industry and they were given incentives, and large players were not allowed to come in. Now, in hindsight, what that did is it made us very non-competent manufacturers because we never were able to set up large-scale manufacturing units that could compete at a global level in terms of cost and quality. And that is where China stole a march over us. However, a lot of that is getting fixed now. The government announced a productivity linked incentive plan, PLI, and that has opened up electronics manufacturing in India. You will be happy to know that India was a net importer of mobile phones till 3 years ago. And through this PLI scheme, now we are a net exporter of mobile phones to the tune of almost $5 billion a month, of which Apple itself is exporting from India $2 to $3 billion of products every month. So this change has happened because the government understood that manufacturing is critical for India's self-dependence. We cannot be dependent on foreign countries, especially China, to buy simple stuffs like consumer electronics and digital equipment. Now, the same initiative is being played out into other areas, and we saw great successes coming in from the first initiative of Make in India through companies like Dixon that have scaled up 20 times over the last 6 years. You have companies like Amber, Sirma, and Keynes that have come from nowhere literally in the last 2 years and have become $100 million, $200 million companies and even larger. So what we want to do now as a country is take the next step. And next step is now getting into more complex products, including semiconductor design. We see semiconductor design as a space that will grow rapidly in India through our friendly relationships with TSMC. Indian chip design companies for the first time are designing chips for domestic consumption, and they're large companies, consumer companies that are preferring to do a POC with them. And TSMC is willing to manufacture in Taiwan without requiring a facility to be set up in India. There are other opportunities like companies that are catering to the defense requirement. Now, defense purchases in India is another big initiative by the government. So things like radars, counter drone systems, avionics is another space that is growing very rapidly. The third space we see growing rapidly is the space technology. ISRO has a calendar of very ambitious launches over the next 5 years, culminating into a manned mission to the moon by 2030. Now, this requires a large ecosystem of players to develop in India, and which is already developing. And again, through government support, we are seeing companies that are coming up with better Earth observation technology, using satellites, communication technologies, defense technologies. And I think this is another trend that will continue to grow and present new investment opportunities for investors. The fourth space that we see is mobility. And as the country gets more mobile, the traditional methods of travel are not going to be adequate. So what you need are better quality trains, better quality roads, better quality airports, better quality aeroplanes. Especially railways is something that can carry the country back and forth to a better system, but it requires an upgradation of the railway infrastructure. So we have many companies now, listed companies, that are catering to railways and getting rewarded for it through large contracts. And this includes air conditioning of new trains, safety systems, cyber security systems, electronics, and not just the deep hardware, but actually the intelligent systems that are being catered to the railways. And as you would understand, the four spaces that I mentioned are very non-traditional, and a traditional investor would look at it and say, but these are very ambitious. Why don't we look at the regular consumer staples companies in India, or the clothing companies, or the banking and financial services, or IT services, which India is really known for globally. Now, those are good spaces. We have nothing against them. But as on-ground investors, what we see is opportunities that are beyond that. You want to make multi-bagger returns. You want to invest in a company at 1x and see it get to 10x. These new spaces and new companies that are taking leadership are the way to get there. And this is where our research is focused on. And I think what we benefit from is a very strong on-ground research team that understands the cultural nuances as we engage with Indian promoters, Indian management, to scope out opportunities. So I think it is very important for investors to remove the traditional investing hat as they look at India in the next 25 years perspective, or at least next 10 years perspective, and see India as a country that will foster innovation, that will foster research and development through a very talented pool of young founders, young promoters that are dedicated to bring solutions that are developed in India but for the global market and of that standard. I think that is where the real money will be made for equity market investors, and that is where we focus on, and that is where we would like you to focus on. So once again, wishing you a very happy Republic Day, and looking forward to having you participate in the wealth creation journey in India over the next 10 years. This is our podcasts that we regularly create on our YouTube channel to benefit investors who are looking at India as an investment destination. So if you want to get regular updates like these, please do subscribe to our channel. And if you want to reach out to us, please do let us know. We would be very happy to engage with you further. So thank you so much for your time.